Hello and welcome to Loneliness and You, a podcast on the research and experience of loneliness. I'm your host, Axel Seaman. My guest today is Dave Raymond. From college student to an iconic figure in sports entertainment, Dave Raymond broke new ground as the original Phillie Phanatic. For 16 years, his innovative approach to the art of mascots transformed the Philadelphia Phillies and propelled the Phanatic into global stardom, forever changing the mascot industry. Building on the insights he gained from this one-of-a-kind experience, Dave founded Raymond Entertainment Group, reimagining character brands for Fortune 500 companies, sports teams, and universities, and launched the Mascot Hall of Fame in 2005. Yet it is his dedication to teaching how fun can fuel genuine well-being that truly sets him apart. Dave is now a highly sought-after keynote speaker, author, and brand consultant. His work has been highlighted on ABC, HBO, NPR, ESPN, The New York Times, and Jimmy Kimmel Live. For more information, please find him at daveraymondspeaks.com. Dave, welcome. I'm so very pleased to have you.
Oh my gosh, I'm blessed that you are including me, Axel. This is a wonderful podcast to be on, but podcasts in general are amazing because of the work, the personalized work people can do. And you've chosen this subject that we all deal with at one time or not. So I was really thrilled. I get asked to be on all kinds of podcasts, but many, sports centric. I was thrilled that a bright guy like you thought to bring in a simple guy like me to be part of this important topic.
Well, certainly this is an unusual angle for us, but, I am sure you have things to bring to this conversation that none of my other guests can contribute. So I'm very happy to be talking to you. We invite our guests to bring an item to their interviews with me, and, that represents their own experience of loneliness or of doing what they do. And what have you brought us today? Let's begin with that.
Well, I would imagine that some guests might struggle a little bit. This was immediately for me was this pin that I'm wearing, which I would have worn anyway. It's an exclamation mark. It's part of our brand, it's part of our logo. But truly, the reason why it became part of our logo is that if you were to look closely, you'd see it wasn't just green, but it was green fur to relate back to the Phillie Phanatic. Because everything I believe that I've done has put me in this position to talk about, being in charge of your own happiness. So for me, whether it's loneliness or the brutality of life, or it's a celebratory event, this pin always reminds you that you're in charge. It's up to you how you respond to either the good things or the bad things in life. And for me, Axel, I need this, my own message. I need it more every single day than anybody I talk to about it, because, I'm somebody that needs to be reminded that it's up to me. So this is wonderful. And I appreciate you asking me.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is certainly an important message. Many things are up to us, and we need to remind ourselves that they are up to us. What's it like to be, in the mascot role? And are things up to you then? And what's up to you? What's not up to you? Describe that a little bit to us.
Yeah, it's a very niche industry in terms of the development and creation of it. And the way we've separated ourselves is that we only want people who are serious about this work to be engaged with us, because there's serious positive outcomes, not just from your brand and driving revenue, but doing great things for your community. And people see the silliness, and I'm always talking about, well, you're right. That's what you're supposed to see, but don't be distracted by the powerful outcomes of silliness and fun and laughter and joy in terms of your mood. So we've been living in the sports world, but what's transferred outside of that is all the work that the Phanatic has done outside of the stadiums, not during games, at appearances. So what we've tried to do is tell our clients, do you want a Phanatic that is your marketing brand that can go out and create moments of joy for potential customers? I mean, who wouldn't want that? But it requires a budget. It requires the highest level of your organization, their buy-in and acceptance that this is going to be one of the most important marketing tools that you can create. But then also it can stand on a platform for whatever you want to do for community good, making your community better. So for us, it's not a mascot, it's a character brand. And then the ultimate level of success is a living, breathing brand extension. So you care for this character, you treat him as if he's alive and breathing. Can't be in two places at one time. Hey, we could make more money that way. Yeah, but it erodes over time in the value of that character. So that's what we try to teach. We don't just design and build. We can do that for our clients, but what we really want to do is tell the story and use the character to be the epitome of that story that's lived and breathed that story and goes out and does amazing things. And it's the germination of that, or that work was the germination of my understanding of, my own happiness and the people around me and how I can help them do that without being in costume.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about the experience of being that mascot. Like it must be, I imagine it's a very specific kind of experience because you're part of this massive community, all the sports fans, but then also you're intensely by yourself. Nobody sees your face. You are this character. What's it like? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, you described the beauty of it. It's amazing to understand as I developed this personality that it was one I could disappear into, and David Raymond and my real personality could disappear for a few moments. That's actually very healthy. Pull your focus out of yourself and on others. And then I was told it was important for me, in order to be successful at this, that I had to go enjoy myself. As soon as I wasn't enjoying myself, I should take a break. Enlightened leadership, Bill Giles, who was the creative mind and the I guess the courage to have a Muppet come out and be a mascot for the toughest sports fans, maybe in the world, maybe not in the Premier Soccer League, but certainly in the United States, Philadelphia fans are known to be tough. So my job was to have fun. As I really grew into a personality, I got to disappear, and the Phanatic took over. But I was delivering kindness, so everybody was saying, "I love you. Come give me a hug." And it took me a long time to actually realize how beneficial that was just for me. So he was a random act of kindness machine. The Phanatic was and continues today. And he's been around for 48 years. I left the Phillies in 93. So for 30 plus years, he's been out and about delivering this special kind of joy for 48 years and will continue well beyond my lifetime or the lifetime of the Phanatic's current best friend, Tom Burgoyne. So it's incredible to be able to be paid to deliver kindness and then realize how great that makes you feel because everybody wants to tell you that they love you.
Yeah. Were there ever moments where, like, if you're really honest about it, where at the beginning of it in the morning, you thought, actually, if I'm honest today, I'm not really feeling it. Like, that must happen to you. And what
Oh,
do you do
of
then?
course. Well, tears of a clown. It's the iconic description of a comic. We're like everybody else. We have life. The beauty of my life was from the age of 6 till about 34. I had the most wonderful life. I describe it as Leave It to Beaver after the iconic family show called Leave It to Beaver, where Ward and June Cleaver, the parents, solved every issue you could possibly have in 30 minutes. That's the way my life was. Everything was blissful until it wasn't. So yes, and even during those times when I was living a blissful life, yeah, I stayed up too late one night. I had to get up early in the morning. I'm like, ugh. But I'll tell you one thing, Axel, that never stopped. No matter how bad I felt or how ugly it seemed to be in my mind, once my personality disappeared and the Fanatics took over, it was a refresher. And it wasn't until I really was challenged by the brutality of life, like we all will be, that I understood that was going on. It was just, hey, I wasn't feeling very good. I feel good now because I was able to go do this appearance. It was physically demanding. That was tough, but you got used to that. You got physical shape to expect the crucible of the heat of those appearances, whether you were indoors or outdoors. It was always hot. But that disappeared. Your body and mind adapt to the good and bad in life. And once I was into that mode, I was looking forward to getting the costume when I knew things where I wasn't feeling well, because well, during that time I'll feel better. It was a phenomenal blessing to be able to have another personality that was healthy for you to leave yours and join that one.
Yeah, right. Sort of a bit of an outside perspective on your community and possibly also on yourself. Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about what you've taken away from, these incredible experiences. I mean, you've already said that, they have helped you cope in difficult situations that as everybody else have faced. Yeah. What have you learned? In what way was this, such a formative experience?
I've learned how counterintuitive happiness is in terms, let we say, in the United States, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but that's flawed. You don't pursue happiness. So I've learned that you actually have to work on it. So there's intentional activities that you have to design, practice daily in order to be happier and be prepared for what the reality of life is suffering. And here's the most counterintuitive thing, Axel, that one of my mentors shared with me that he said it was the best lesson he learned from his mentor was Pat Williams, longtime general manager in sports in the NBA, and brought the Orlando Magic to Orlando when it was first started. He said, never waste your suffering, which sounds very strange. Doesn't mean that suffering won't hurt, doesn't mean that you're not going to go through pain. But as you evolve through that, take steps to overcome it. If you can help others deal with their issues too, that you recognize that in the moments of our suffering is where we learn the most, we grow the most, you actually become the most creative. I read a great book called The Creative Act by Ron Rubin, and he talks about that. That
Mhm.
it's under challenges that you suddenly become more creative too. And the beauty of not wasting your suffering is not about, oh, this doesn't hurt. It's knowing that there's an end, and then there will be the beginning of maybe some joyful times. And when you are experiencing the joy of life, you pay attention to that too. So the interesting part is not wasting your suffering. You know that you can work at it. You start to develop resilience. So you actually recognize in your second, third, fourth life suffering moment, you go, this is going to be good for me. It's going to suck. I'm going to hurt. I could be lonely. I could be making decisions that might not be the greatest, but if I hang in there and overcome it, I'm going to get the good stuff. It's the balance of that understanding of the suffering and celebrating life that in between those moments is the good life. That's what you're trying to do is I can overcome and then I can enjoy. And both of those are part of my life existence and I'm ready for both of them.
Mhm. How do you achieve that though? Like, if you are in a moment of intense suffering, as is part of the human condition, then, it's very much part of that moment that it takes all of you, right? That's very,
Mhm.
very much sort of
Mhm.
characteristic of that kind of moment, that there's really nothing outside of it. But in order to achieve what, you've just described, to see this as a positive moment and learn from it, you have to sort of take this outside perspective on it, right? Otherwise, you're just overwhelmed by the
Mm.
suffering. I sort of understand a little bit that for you, being a mascot, that early experience has helped a little bit because precisely, as we just said, it gave you this outside perspective.
Mm.
But not all of us can, transform themselves into mascots. What do you have to say for the rest of mankind?
That's great to even highlight the beauty of my existence. Not only was I forced to do that, I was getting paid to do the right thing for me, but I didn't understand it was good for me. In fact, I went through the my mom succumbing to brain cancer at the very same time my marriage fell apart. That was the moment when I was in hopelessness and where you make those bad decisions. So yes, when you're in it, you don't understand. And with me, it was the first time I ever suffered in life. I mean, I didn't suffer much of anything from 6 years old till 30, just 35, just set at 35 when all of this happened at the same time. So I had no clue that the Phanatic was the right thing for me. In fact, I felt I needed to quit. I told the Phillies I needed to quit. But I had a few appearances I had to clean up before they would clear my schedule. And that's when I paid attention. So for those of us who don't know, it does not alleviate the loneliness, the pain, the thoughts of bad decisions. So there's a handful of things that everyone needs to know. Getting professional help, but it's so difficult in that time to seek help because you feel like you either embarrassed about the way you feel and what you're thinking of, or you just don't have friends around you that can be supportive. That's a very difficult place to be. And that, unfortunately, is why we lose lives in this. But outside of the suffering, if we can start sharing with people to create connections with people that you can be vulnerable with, that even when you feel embarrassed about something, you will share it with them. That is a fabulous skill to have. So it requires you to work on your friends, even outside of your family relationship. Friendships are the single biggest reason that we can build on happiness, is have close personal relationships. It's something that is actually wired inside of our being for survival. We need it, have to have it. So don't trivialize what Arthur Brooks calls useless friends, friends that you get together for no other reason than you enjoy being with them. So you need to know some mechanisms. So I need to have friends around me so I can share when I'm struggling. I need to understand that that's where joyful memories can come in so that you can somehow, like the Phanatic, escape from your mindset, go to a time when you were happy, force yourself to smile, look at yourself in the mirror. At the worst of times, it seems weird, you feel silly about doing it, but your brain will respond as if you truly are happy when
Mhm.
even if you're forcing a smile. So little steps that you can do during those difficult times. You're not alone. I think there's two types of faith. There's agnostic faith where you just believe that things are going to turn out okay. And then there's religious faith, where you are certain you will never be alone. And imagine how powerful
Mhm.
that religious faith can be. But you can also develop your faith in life, the faith in yourself to be able to overcome. So we need to get to people before they're in loneliness or helplessness or hopelessness or being exceptionally miserable. We need to start teaching this to young kids, that the smile and laughter that they do every day is healthy, just as healthy as eating the right foods and being physically active. And once we start getting that, the inkling in young kids, this is the way we turned young kids into baseball fans. They hated the game. It's not interesting to them. But when the Phanatic's there, they're
Mhm.
distracted by something that brings joy to them. And slowly they start to realize how fun the game and the atmosphere is. It's the same thing with happiness. We got to get people young. We got to get people when they're not struggling and say, you're going to struggle. And here are some of the things. And for me, I always talk about powerful fun being one of the tools. It's not the single source, it's one of the tools that you engage: professional help,
Mhm.
friends, deep emotional discussions with those friends and you trust. And so my belief is we got at the youngest people that we can. So our elementary school kids, we got to start teaching them a course in happiness now, to get them to understand
Yeah.
I can do this. I don't need anybody else. I can do this myself. And building friendships is one of the things I have to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, the capacity to talk about unhappiness, loneliness when you experience it, right? That's, the flip side of the equation, equally important. Let's stick a little bit to the upside though, happiness. What do you mean by that? What do what do you mean by that? You talk about it a lot. Tell us.
You mean what do I talk about in terms of the power of fun? Is that what you meant? Or
Yeah, I mean, whatever. You've just told us that happiness is really important in a person's life. I couldn't agree more. But you can think about happiness in very different ways. Sort of, is it just going to a game, or is it sort of some deep inner satisfaction? What is it for you? What do you mean by that?
here's the interesting thing about the practice of happiness
Yes.
is that it is absolutely individual in the intentional activities that you would choose. It is all about I'm worth it. So I'm going to spend 10, 15 minutes a day working on boosting my mood. So here's a good analogy. And this isn't true because I don't love to skydive, but actually, I love to skydive. You're frightened to death of heights. We're going to be doing different activities, intentional activities to boost our mood. So kindness, some of the ones that are universal in its ability to make you feel better. Kindness, because you are not focused on yourself, you're trying to be kind to somebody else. The amazing thing about kindness is what you deliver in terms of the kindness is very powerful for the receiver. But when you are focused on intentional kindness, you're actually planning it. So you get a little bit enthused. Oh, I can't wait until I do this for. And then you deliver the kindness. You get twice the benefit of developing kindness to deliver to somebody else because you're focused on it. And kindness takes your focus off yourself. So one of the things is whatever you do, if you can move into a flow state, which is you forget about yourself in time, you could pull weeds. You can decide, I want to pull weeds, and you're so invested in getting that weed out of your lawn. That could be a flow state. So it doesn't have to be skydiving or artistry of any kind, singing, creating music, painting, sculpting. Those can be for the people that are talented or enjoy that and using their hands, but it's going to be different for everybody. But the idea of kindness, expressing gratitude for the smallest things in life. I mean, honestly, I have a gratitude journal. I just wrote the other day that I love my Hoka shoes because I'm getting to an age where I need a soft sole shoe with support. I mean, I'm grateful for those because it allows my feet and legs not to hurt. Simple little tiny pieces of gratitude every day. So kindness and gratitude and experiencing moments of joy. Those are three intentional activities that we all can do and we can personalize because what's joyful to me might not be joyful to you. The type of kindness I would deliver might be different than the kindness that you would deliver. And certainly what you're grateful for may be different than mine, but they're universal in their ability to boost your happiness. So we have to know it's up to us. We must practice. It's not easy because many people don't feel they're worth it to spend time or they're too busy. You got to carve out time for you and your own happiness and practice it daily. And you have to design it for yourself.
Yeah. Well, I'm very glad it doesn't have to be skydiving for me.
I like using that term because everybody can relate to it.
Yes, of course, yeah. Would you say that what you're just describing here is something like creating meaning in your life? Is what you mean by happiness, by what you've just told us? Is that really about making your life meaningful? Is that sort of the same thing? Would you say?
Yeah, I almost think that meaning is such a difficult thing for a lot of people to capture. So I look at that as the positive result of you building your happiness, because inside of that work, you'll start to find meaning. Um, I mean, just the idea of being kind and trying to make your community better, and then seeing it get better and recognize, hey, I'm not happy where I'm working. I want to get involved in the philanthropic field. I want to get involved in a nonprofit that's doing good things. I mean, and then that's where your true meaning will come from. For me, my whole life, I just wanted to be my father. He was a very successful American football coach. I wanted to play for him and I wanted to be him. That was it. And once I reached the level of success there, it was my father who said, if you want to be a football coach, that's fine. And so he
Mhm.
put me on a path to get the job with the Phillies, which was, an accidental lesson in what we're talking about. So it's funny. My meaning now, Axel, is to do this.
Mhm.
I all everything that I did. I thought I wanted to be a football coach. What I found out was in watching my dad and seeing him motivate people to be bigger, I wanted to do that. So this idea of working as the fanatic and making people feel better, helping them without knowing that was working. This is the first time in my life I understood why all of those things happen to me. My meaning in life is to share this.
Mhm.
All of the books on positive psychology, the great minds, Sonia Lyubomirsky, Dan Gilbert, Martin Seligman, Arthur Brooks, they all say at the end of their work, I want you to go do this on your own and share it. It's not my IP. Your happiness and everybody's happiness is up to themselves and up to you to inspire people to do it. And the last thing I say on stage all the time is I thank them for allowing me to be able to learn the lessons over again. Because I'm just, if I've been dubbed the hero of happiness, Axel, and the person I'm most grateful for in my life is my wife, Sandy. And if I had a nickel for every time she said, "Oh, okay, Mr. Hero of Happiness," when I wasn't practicing. It's a beautiful friendship and marriage and relationship we have because we keep each other on point.
Right.
I'm not great at it. I'm not a master's level graduate, and I'm not sure if I ever will.
Mm.
But this reminder, once again, like the fanatic was giving me great stuff without me knowing it. My job of speaking about this is continuing to do the same thing that the fanatic did for me. I'm looking at other people, I'm hearing from other people and how they're struggling and how they want help. And you're doing the same thing. I mean, it's incredibly kind to be in the field you're in academia to teaching this. It's because a lot of times young people are not going to school thinking they're going to learn about how to overcome loneliness or understand what loneliness is and how they can be in charge of overcoming some of those things. That it's brilliant stuff.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I mean, obviously your work is amazing. Let's, in the few minutes that we've got, talking about my students. So I work at a university that has a lot of business students. So they will be, very interested in hearing about the business side of what you do, because the lessons that you draw don't only apply on the individual level, you also draw them out on the organizational level. What can organizations do? So let's, talk about that for the last few minutes that we've got.
Yeah, I think the most enlightened leaders at any business, if they understand how to care, obviously care for themselves, but care for their people and let the people know that they care, which requires them to get to know them. If they have a leadership group that are then overseeing groups within a very large company, they get the main leader is their job to instill with his subordinate leaders that are going to all the employees that they have to get to know their people and understand, and that's care. So care is very important. In terms of what I understand about marketing, that my best sales pitch is, hey, listen, what if I could create something for you that could leave your offices at any time, go anywhere in your community, and when they show up, not only do they make people feel better, but the time with that marketing initiative brings your brand where they think it's a moment of joy. And they're showing people pictures of, look at who I was with. Look at the picture I got. Would you want that? And the CMO is always goes, yeah, what's that? It's a character brand
Mm.
because it's a living, breathing brand extension. But it's not just delivering news about your product or services. It's delivering a message of kindness and gratitude and joy, and automatically your brand will be connected to connective tissue to build great, deep emotional relationships. So, from a business standpoint, care for your people, give them all the tools they need to understand about happiness, well being, loneliness, and how to help them during those times. And it has nothing to do with business. And I'm crossing my fingers. It has everything to do with business to be kind and make sure your employees know that you care for them, because then they're going to be more committed to coming to work for you. That workspace will be some space they enjoy being.
Mhm.
That's the thing that businesses who don't have that will fail and lose to their competition. So make your people know that you care, and then make your community know that you care. And the rest of it, they'll want to be involved in your brand. They'll want to be your customer because they see the good work that you're doing and all the other things you do in business and marketing and sales. And your core values, all of those are important. But simply put, care for your people, and then care for your community, and then create information that they can get about your community that is about you helping them be better.
Yeah.
It's not the easiest thing to do, but when you do it, I mean, Apple, the iPhone, all of that stuff was designed and made to make people feel better.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the technology can help them. But we also know the devastating part of technology too. Somehow, Apple has still been able to deliver a good feeling about what they're holding in their hands. So that can be as strong as a character brand when your actual product does the same thing.
Yeah, right. So both, in one's personal life and in one's professional life, when you're working for a company, say, it's not all fun and games, literally, is it? There's a lot of part of life, private and professional, where, there's a job and you just have to do it, and you just have to, whatever, clean the house, pick up the kids, create this Excel spreadsheet, go to that meeting. So from your perspective, how do you deal with that? Like, sort of, it's not in the moments where it just can't be about, fun and happiness. From your perspective, what do you do with that?
That's people get concerned when they're bringing in like, well, it's just all about happiness and silliness and fun. And that's not the way our lives are. So the master's level of graduation is to be able to not react emotionally to input all of the time. You have to learn, and I love the story about, it's iconic. Everyone's experiences. You're in traffic. Everybody else in other cars are morons. They're in your way. And somebody cuts you off, and you want to give them the high sign, right? And the master's level graduation and what we're just talking about is when you get that input, you've got a millisecond to say, you know what? That driver, those drivers, all these drivers, all of us used to be innocent little children, and we wouldn't be given the high sign to an innocent child. Incredibly difficult to do. It's as one of the, and I know some people that are really good at this, and I look at them as role models for me, that when they're going through some of the daily activities that you just mentioned that just get so nasty, they always take a pause, and they may force a smile, and then find something that, if your children are irritating you and all of the work that you have to do to get them around and say, I got to get to work too, and all this stuff is coming down on you, there has to be these moments of pause to take a deep breath, understand that, yeah, I'm having a bad day today, and I'm just going to deal as best I can with it. I think it's the hardest thing in life, is to react the way we want to react, and not react with emotional output. Because when you get a hold of that, it's kind of your adult mindset, as opposed to, it's great to have a child's mindset at time to get wonder and not to worry about things yesterday or moving forward and be present. But it's also a bad thing to react like a child when you're getting nicked by life, because whatever comes out of your mouth at that point, or whatever reaction you give, is not going to most likely be the most helpful for you or the people you're around. This has been my problem all my life, my temper and responding emotionally. So it's really personal to me, and I get wrapped up in it. And that's when I get, okay, Mr. Hero of Happiness. And it's a wonderful reminder that, like, okay, I got to pause. I got to realize that everybody's going through this. It's a universal part of our existence.
Yeah.
It's not easy, and you will make mistakes consistently unless you're an AI robot. You're going to slip, and you got to give yourself some grace, lead with grace, and continue to go back to the practice. But you're right. Life is life. That's not changing. It's just, well, how am I going to change to be able to handle that? And it's difficult. That's the hard work. But it's really, really beneficial when you can capture some of that during more of your life than not.
Yeah. So important, in our ever more fragmented society as well, to act with kindness and compassion and give yourself a pause every now and then. It's amazing what has come out of the experience of the Phillie Phanatic. Thank you so much.
My absolute pleasure. And I'd come back anytime you need me.
Thank you so much, David. It's a huge pleasure to talk to you.
My pleasure.
Thank you for listening to Loneliness and You, a podcast on the research and experience of loneliness. My guest today was Dave Raymond. If you want to join the conversation or have suggestions for future episodes, email us at lonelinnesspod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram and TikTok at loneliness.pod. If you enjoyed this episode, please rate, review, and subscribe to Loneliness and You wherever you get your podcasts. Loneliness and You is produced by Stacey Goldman and myself, Axel Seaman. This episode was engineered and edited by Steve Salina. Our introductory sound was designed by Dave Meckin, and our logo art is by Paul Fisher-Davies. The podcast is financially supported by Bentley University. Thanks again for listening. Talk very soon.